You're watching All to Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral.
Welcome to All to Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral. I am Tom Davis, and as always, I'm joined by my guy, Mr. Joe Cole. How you doing, Coley?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm all right, mate.
Great to see you.
I've been enjoying you on TV this week for the Champions League.
Been off for a while, so you know it's like training. You can't just turn the tap on and turn the tap on. You come back to TV. You can make mistakes, Tom.
Yeah,
honest mistakes.
How do you? Because I've been inundated people who've recorded the infamous masala.
The chicken tikka masala.
I'm going to be honest with you, Joe. I didn't think when I was watching the show, because I watch you every time you're on TV. I'm like a proud father, Joe. I love watching you on the box. And you know what? I wouldn't have known the difference. It was only when people started atting me at stuff and going, "Oh, you've got to bring it up with him about this, mate."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But where is it? Is it? What's it actually called?
Do you want the whole story? Right.
Go on. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I've been trying to do this juice diet. Right.
Yeah.
This goes deep. Right. So all in the day, I've been trying to just eat a dinner and just a few juices and some coffees in a day, just try and keep fit.
Yeah.
And I was starving, big man, first of all. So you have to, I'm setting here.
Yeah.
I'm on air. I ain't eaten since dinner the night before.
Right.
It's nearly dinner time and I'm starving. And I'm just thinking fish and chips, curry, what we're going to have. Like, and then we get talking about the Barcelona Academy. And I want to make a point saying that how they can get out of this sort of mess that they're in, blah, blah, blah. And the Messiah. It's Masia. It's a Spanish word, which when you come from Kentish Town, we haven't got the tongue for it. Anyway, so
but yeah. I mean,
I was coupled with that and the fact I was starving. I called it the masala, and I just as soon as you do something like that, it's like being horrible. Your phone, like you put your phone on in a break, and your mates are just hammering you.
Really? So, you got it for the mates as well?
Straight away. Like it's horrible sometimes, especially these European games. Some of the names, like
I find it in life, mate. I've just got out of one where I've just been absolutely like smashed to bits because I've been pronouncing Krispy Kreme for the last I call it Krispy Kreme because that's how it's spelled.
Cultured. It sounds cultured, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm a cultured guy. Do you know what I mean?
Krispy Kreme. Yeah, you are.
Yeah, that's how I roll, JC. Let me try and whisk you away from the UK, JC.
Let's go.
See, last week, we were in France. Our first international guest. Well, our second, actually, as you mentioned last week. And because we have also talked to someone in Shanghai. Big shout out, Carl and Palmer. But this week, we're going to head to Germany. We're going to talk to one of the Premier League's greatest ever goalkeepers. A man, a legend. This isn't just our first goalkeeper on the show. This is our first Invincible. I'd say that every Premier League goalkeeper now has taken something from this man. He's a bona fide legend. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mr. Jens Lehmann.
The legend. How are you?
How you doing,
Thank you very much. Very well. Thank you very much for the praise. At the time, I was listening to you at the time. I was perceived as being mad when I came over, when I played like I played. So now it has changed a little bit.
Do you think that, I mean, jumping straight in there, do you think that, because that's the thing that people say about goalkeepers in general, that there's always, and, you know, me and Joe are both good mates with David James, and there's that sort of slight, do you think there's that different, like you're sort of like goalkeepers are just that little bit different from everyone else on the pitch in a sense? Do you believe in that?
Of course, you have to be a little bit because, you know, when you get involved, it can be really painful. And when you're friends with James, then you know that he was off the pitch probably a little bit mad as well. And so I know him very well. He's a nice guy and very entertaining. We've been in Australia together, so it was fun.
Oh yeah, he's a cool guy. I love David. I think he's a lot of fun and one of the most like in depth and sort of interesting people I've ever met in my life. Like he's an incredible artist and whatever. Anyway,
Jens, when you signed for Arsenal, did you understand like the rich history of goalkeepers like your Bob Wilsons and your David Seaman? Did you know how big a role in English football that is? The Arsenal goalkeeper.
Yes. I've been told, and I knew from obviously I saw David, but I knew as well that my type of game was so different to his games that. Probably people had to get used to it a little bit. and I never tried to actually fill in his footsteps because, as you said, he was a legend for Arsenal and he was a legend for England. So that was really, really difficult actually to just even try to do something like he did. I was aware of it.
Did you go fishing with him, Jens?
No, not yet. And probably wouldn't have been a lot of talking. So I don't like to sit there for hours not talking and doing nothing.
I mean, to be fair, you say that, but I mean, your first season wasn't too bad with Arsenal, was it? It was pretty special. What were your expectations going into that season and signing with them? In your head, what did you think like you'd be able to do and achieve what you achieved?
No, obviously not. You go in, you try to give your best to play at your standard and to give something to the team. And I knew that Arsene was after Canizares, the guy from Spain as well.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if he was actually aware what kind of different player he got in me. So I needed to convince everybody in the first games. And I was lucky because we won the first games and actually did not lose. And then it went on and on.
Did you? At what point did you sort of think in that, like as the sort of like famous Invincibles? But what point especially as a goalkeeper, because I'm imagining like you're at the very centre of like the Invincibles, not conceding goals. You know what I mean? It sort of buck stops with you. At what point did that become like this massive thing, the Invincibles, and what point were you like we could do this whole season sort of unbeaten?
Not in between the season. I think guys like you, they make it bigger and bigger and massive because at the time we didn't think about not losing for a long period because we only thought, okay, next game we have to win it, or at least not losing. It was about becoming champions. And then after we realized, okay, we become unbeaten champions. That has never been done before. But when you're in it, you don't think about the historical achievement you actually did.
I mean, that is the difference between me and you, because I'll be going to bed every night with my arsehole going, thinking, oh shit, like if we look, because especially if you get into, I mean, Joe, I don't know what you think, but when you get into the last knock-ins and you got 3-4 games left, like, I mean, look, man, credit to you because you're a proper chilled out guy about it. I'd be still wearing the Invincible t-shirt if I was you, but like, like those last 3-4 games, my heart would be going. I'd be like so panicked on like this could be history. Joe, I
played against this team, Tom, and they had this. For me, it's the crossover of eras. They had the perfect. They still had that. There was still some of the old contingent in that of the famous back four, and Ashley Cole would come through. Then the midfield, Vieira, Perez, Freddie Ljungberg, Silva, and then up front, Omri. But like it was just that's why we still talk about it to this day, because it's a staggering achievement. I've won titles, and I know that all the different obstacles you have to overcome, bad days. I think that's the credit with that Arsenal team I found. They were such talented players, but they could also grind out results when they wasn't at their best, because they had men. Like Jens will tell you that the characters in that dressing room were massive, weren't they, Jens?
Obviously, I mean, for example, we had guys like Martin Kuhn. He rarely played. I think he jumped on the pitch in his last match to gain the medal, but he was very influential in the dressing room. And for example, me, I learned a lot from him. Yeah. Whereas he wasn't always playing with me, but he was one kind, and there were others you've mentioned already, proper man. And when there was a fight, nobody really actually was scared to take on a fight. It was probably not even on the pitch in games, but in training as well.
It's very like a very cosmopolitan side, wasn't it? You sort of look across it and you think of like, as Joe says, you sort of got like, Sol Campbell, Ashley Cole, but you got people, it felt like sort of people from everywhere there. Do you know what I mean? How's the dressing room, and for both of you, how's the dressing room like that sort of, how's it work on the basis? Because I suppose with Chelsea, your core at Chelsea was still sort of, Lampard, Terry, it was still sort of like, it felt that heartbeat.
Yeah, but we had we had a modern dressing room. Jens will tell, and we get into this in a little bit. The modern dressing rooms in England are, you'll have maybe a few Brits and they'll stick together, and then you got the Germans and the Scandinavians will find their, and it's funny how all nationalities tend to stick together. But the beauty with the Arsenal team and our Chelsea team to a degree is you're a band of brothers. So when you step onto that pitch, all them little social groups within the team, they disappear, and you go as one. And that Arsenal team was sensational. Well, I want to ask Jens is because with goalkeeper, is he the first? Jens is the first keeper we've had on, right?
Yeah, he's the first goalkeeper we've had on. Yeah.
So, like, for people who are listening, they don't understand. Like, goalkeepers very much go off on their own. Like, there's 4 or 5 of them plus coach, maybe 2 coaches nowadays. And it always fascinated me. They sort of go away, do their thing, and then they turn up for the games, and they're so tight knit. And then to have that competition for the places as well. I mean, that must have been so interesting. And I know Jens is a competitive guy, and just that competition within the goalkeepers is unbelievable, Tom.
Well, first of all, you have 2 goalkeeping coaches in the Premier League because you can afford. Germany, they only have 1 goalkeeping coach. And then I had with Graham Stuckey. Yeah. He was in number 2, and Stuart Taylor. He was supposed to be number 2, but he was injured. So there were 2, for me, Englishmen. Yeah. Whereas Stuckey's Irish, and that was a really good camaraderie, and I never enjoyed that in a German club. Because it was very competitive. You hardly spoke together. You were practicing. It happened after when Manuel Almunia came. Really nice guy. But unfortunately for me, a very good keeper. So I needed to fight him a little bit as well. It's what you're saying is right. But people always used to say, okay, you're a little bit on your own when you're goalkeeping. I think it's the exact opposite, because when you don't have a good defense or a team in front of you, you're lost. Whereas when you're a good striker, you can take the ball, dribble around people, and score. So it's a kind of a discrepancy between the description of the job from outside than rather inside.
Do you remember Chelsea knocked you guys out of the Champions League that year, right? The Invincible, was it?
Yes,
the quarterfinals, Weybridge.
Yeah, that was our darkest moment.
Yeah,
Wayne Bridge pretty enjoyed himself.
He's
I was
still
with
living
him
off
till
that
about
goal,
4 in the morning after the game.
We played them 5 times this year.
For me, and that's another big moment. It's a big moment in Chelsea's history, that, because we were the new kids on the block and going up against Arsenal. And I can remember that game specifically. We had a good team, obviously we had good players, but we felt like on the pitch, you felt like that. Certainly the earlier parts of them games of the season, we was always playing catch up, but we were getting better as a team because we was all young. Claudio had signed some good players. There was already good players there, but we're getting closer and closer and closer. And that night when we beat them, I felt for the first time you could puff your chest out with that team and compete with them, because they were such a great team and we was getting better. And I think that team had maybe another year, 18 months, 2 years. So I felt that game we was closing the gap on them, and that was the game where we just got ahead of them in that sense.
Actually, we were 1-0 up at home.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, it's going like normal. But then Claude Makalele, I think, we played a new ball, and he hit it from 30 yards, and the ball was swerving. First time, and I couldn't catch it, because it was so swerving. We never tested this ball before.
Yeah,
that's when I think Frank Lampard had the poacher. And that was a turning point, because we were so tired. Because we had to play a consecutive streak of I think 5 or 6 really big games, and then you beaten us. Yeah, but you didn't win the Champions League. That was the biggest surprise.
Mate, we come off that pitch, Tom, right? Imagine that, we're just beating this Arsenal team, and we found out Monaco had beat Real Madrid, and so we got them in a semi-final. And the other semi-final was Porto and a German side, and we're like, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
We didn't have as much nous. We didn't have as much. We went into the Monaco game, and Claudio will have to take some blame for this as well. But I don't know if Jens remembers it, but he played a crazy team. It was just, in parts of the game, he had Robert Hoof playing right back and Scott Parker playing right up midfield, and Seba Veron hadn't played for 7 weeks and he was on the bench, and then he wasn't even fit to come on, and he put him on. Hasselbank played in midfield. So as he went on to be a great manager, and we went on to be a good team, and we won things, but at that point we should have won it that year. It opened up for us after beating what I thought were the best side in Europe at the time, Arsenal.
Yeah.
in the quarters, we should have gone on and won it.
But then history would have been different, wouldn't it, on the basis that
Yeah.
Mourinho...
No Jose.
Yeah, Jose goes
That's
and
actually
wins.
when Jose Mourinho's star was rising, because he's won it this year with Porto.
But if he hadn't won it with Porto, arguably he wouldn't have then come to Chelsea, and you wouldn't have been at Chelsea.
It's insane. It's the synchronicity, what the things that could happen in football.
Now, one of our favourite parts of the show, what really happened, and I've got to say, Joe Cole is coming off the ropes here. He's flying at this one. He's like a very eager puppy. So, JC, take it away.
We got to ask Jens about the Pizzagate incident at Old Trafford. Was he involved? Was you there, Jens, when we had the big fight?
I was actually. People expected me probably being in the front row or fighting, but I was always coming late from the pitch, and so I was standing there and saw these two groups, and with some security guys, and grabbing each other like Arsene and Sir Alex. And then all of a sudden, the pizza came flying out of our dressing room. And then it really started, probably was hot, so Alex probably got a little bit mad about it. And sometimes you didn't expect Arsene. Yeah, he was always very calm and a gentleman. But sometimes when he had it, he could really show his aggressive side as well.
He's a big guy. He's a big guy as well.
Yeah, he's a big guy. And I thought it made him very likable.
With who was the front? Who was at the front of that? Who was because that's the question. When we put that you're coming on the show, literally, this is what really happened. That's the thing that everyone has asked. Who was at the right at the front there, sort of leading the charge?
I don't know, actually. You have to ask others, because I came from behind and I didn't see that. I guess guys like Freddie or Ashley, but I'm not sure. You have to ask others.
This is like JFK.
Yeah,
it's like no one still
Tom,
tells the story.
I think I know through the pizza now. I think I've been told about it. I'm not going to be the grass. I
think we can announce it in 2035. We can say who threw the pizza.
This win the secret. I think I know it is. It'll blow your mind as well.
Did you know how big the rivalry was going into that game? At that time, Jens, did you know how this thing with United and Arsenal? I mean, later on, obviously, you sort of hit up against Chelsea.
For me, it was a last-minute change from Dortmund to Arsenal. So I came in to the training camp in Austria. Then I think 2 or 3 weeks later, we started playing. One of the first games was Tottenham. I didn't even know about this rivalry. Then we played United. And I thought, okay, United became champions, I think the year before. So there must be some kind of rivalry. But I didn't know until I was standing in this tunnel. And it was, nobody spoke a word, and you could really see the hatred in their eyes, the United players. And I was on a show recently for some appearances with Ryan Giggs, and he revealed that he, honestly, as players, he hated us. And it was likewise. Obviously, now as private persons or whatsoever, it's funny to talk about it, and he's a very likable man. But at the time, there was so much heat, already in the tunnel, that I realized, okay, it must be special. And then what I liked as a German, all of a sudden on the pitch, they started punching each other, shoving around and insulting and whatsoever, and nobody got booked or suspended.
Do you remember how much do you remember about the penalty there, Jens? Like with Nistelrooy, do you remember citing him out? Or?
Because at least twice a year I got remembered, because everybody perceived that as being the turning point or the lucky moment in our campaign. Yeah. And it was the build up to it was so funny, because how people behaved towards Van Nistelrooy, and then the United players came. I think Cristiano Ronaldo, he got involved and been suspended after. So that was the thing I was talking about before, which surprised me, because the referee saw it, but he didn't book anybody. Yeah. And I was surprised, because in Germany you would have seen the red card for pushing people around, or the English player, they were always allowed to swear at the referee. Yeah, it seems to be a difference. John Terry always did it. Yeah. And so if I did it once, the referee came to me and said, if you do it once again, I send you off.
What did it happen in England? That happened in England?
Yes. And I said, well, all the English do it. Yeah. And he just said, I'm telling you.
Wow.
So
do you think that's a mad thing to think of that? I mean, Joe, we're good pals. Were you a swearer at the referees? Did you swear?
Yeah, I did some of them. I tell you, I tell the story the other day to one of my pals, the referees. When I finished my career in America, I nearly had to write to the Referees Association in England and apologise for all the bad words I said to them, because the refs in America were so bad. I'd realised the guys over here are geniuses. So I'm playing in the game, and this ref, he should have given us he give the opposition 3 penalties. I'm like, they was never penalties. I'm like, and then I'm chatting to him, and he went, I think I made a mistake. I said, yeah, you definitely did. He said, next time you go in the box, go over and I'll give you a penalty. And I've gone, all right. I've run into the box, right? The ball's come over. I felt a bit of contact. I've gone over, expecting the ref to blow the whistle. And he looked at me and gone, fucking get up. He's done me a kipper, mate, this geezer. I was like, oh, my God. But yeah, I was a swearer at the referees, but it seems to have, and it's not good, and I wouldn't want my kids to do it. And I'm glad that it's changed. There's no need for it. But I did like the back and forth with the referees.
Did the refs give it back?
Yeah. It was, I'm terrible with names. Phil Dowd used to give it back.
Really?
I used to you used to call him can we say this? Like a fat this and a fat that. And
you'd say that to his, because this is a mad thing that I say.
But he'd come back and go, you give the ball away, and he'd go, fucking hell, you're having a nightmare. Any chance of you passing to your own team and things like that.
Oh, wow. So they psychologically, yeah.
I just think Phil did. There was a few of them. Some of them were quiet, but I like the back and forth. Do you know what I mean? And as well, Tom, the type of player I was, I actually got booked more than I should. I wasn't an angel, but because I always got away with loads. I got sent off once in my career. It should have been more, because I had to put my foot in for an attacking player. But I always used to get away with it because I had that little bit of banter with them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems Jens didn't get away with anything.
No.
Getting booked.
Yeah, I didn't. But I hadn't seen a red card while I was playing for Arsenal.
Really?
No one. I saw one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
When I played for Borussia Dortmund, I saw 5 yellow reds and 3 yellow reds and 2 straights.
Wow.
Really?
But only then.
The red card came in almost like one of the biggest games that you
unfortunately,
could get.
yes.
Yeah. I mean, what do you remember? Because I remember thinking, wow, Arsenal, this Arsenal side could take Barcelona. I mean, you look at how incredible that Barcelona side was. I mean, it had some, but Arsenal felt they were on such a roll at that time. Do you now look back and think what could have been, or do you think
Yeah, of course. It was probably the most disappointing moment because when you get there and then I think we haven't conceded a single goal in the whole campaign in the Champions League throughout the entire year. And then I thought at this moment, okay, let them score, but don't send me off. But the referee made this decision. I can't even say he made a mistake, but he made this decision. It has ended my Champions League final and his international career. Ever since, it did not happen that a player has been sent off in a major final or semi-final in kind of regular time. Sometimes at the end when the game was decided anyway, but not in extra time. I've spoken to a referee recently who spoke to the referee of this final and said to me that the guy is still regretting it.
But do you remember sort of what went through your head at that time and sort of especially, I mean, man, like you say, back-to-back consecutive clean sheets. You're an incredible goalkeeper that season.
It was I think the problem was it's the hardest ball to judge, because when the ball is coming from the front and the player is coming from the side, you actually need to have 2 ends which come together, and you are the 3 part. And it's very, very difficult to judge exactly the point where you can get the ball without the player being first at it.
Mm.
And that was my mistake or my disaster. It's when that happens, it's very difficult to judge.
Yeah, I mean, me and Jens are both in that category with losing finals and feeling hard done by in the Champions League. It's a brutal feeling to get all the way down. And Jens, am I right? When you played Villarreal in the semi-final, you had a big moment. Did you save a penalty, or was there some big saves in them games? Was that the year?
That was the year, yeah. But it was a nice run because I was competing for the German national team. And I always was scared that if I made a mistake, Arsene would take me out of goal, because he did that 1.5 years ago. And so I kept going, and we never conceded. And Villarreal, we played a clean sheet as well. But I think the penalty they gave at the end, it was kind of a present to them. It was
but you weren't in a giving mood.
I wasn't. No.
What do you still follow Arsenal now, Jens? Are you still?
Of course, yeah. Of course.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of sort of where we find Arsenal at the moment?
I was there in the year as an assistant coach when Arsene had his final year, and we've been criticized, or definitely him. And when you look at the comparison now, I think even then, when people thought, okay, it's time to leave, we were in a much better state than right now. So it's, for a big club like Arsenal, and for one who's been involved over a couple of years with it, and all of our teammates from the area between 2003, 2010, 11, 12, we all liked this club a lot, because we had the pleasure to play for you guys, for the fans, and we had success. And now when you see what's happening now, you're not happy about it. That's for sure.
I mean, how far away, or how much do you think they've got to do to sort of move it forward? Do you think Arteta's going in the right way?
I'm not sure, because I have the impression that I think he's a good coach, but it seems to be a lot about him. Very much about him. And I'm not sure if that is the right blend then. I'm looking at a lot of clubs I played for, like Schalke in Germany, Arsenal. I'm involved now with Hertha Berlin here in Germany. And all these clubs, they struggle big time. Hertha addressed that problem a little bit of management, because sometimes most of the time it comes from the top. Schalke had a huge problem with the management, and in the recent years as well. And I think Arsenal is kind of the same. I experienced David Dean as a CEO, who kind of invented the Premier League, and together with Arsenal was very, very successful, and probably one of the greatest managers in the history of the Premier League. I mean, managers in terms of administration. And now it's different. It seems to be different, that you don't really know who's in charge there, which kind of decisions they make, and who's making which decisions. So it's a bit disappointing that they stand so low in the table.
Yeah. But I mean, Joe, how do you feel about it? I mean, I personally watch them, and I look at some of the younger players coming through. I mean, obviously, I think Martinez going. I mean, he's been incredible at Villa this season, but I think Lino's looked pretty decent. I think for them. I mean, when you look at it, Joe, what do you think they've got to do, and how they, what their next steps are?
I 100% agree with what Jens said, because I think we talked about it a few months. When I think of Arsenal, and I think of what a great club it was, when it just had class, and it had leaders, and it had men. And I think ever since they've let Arsene go, they've been a bit of a ship without a direction, a sail. It was the recruitment's always been strange for me. They've never had a balanced squad. I don't feel, since the back end of Arsene's sort of time, where it was a more balanced. I think you bringing in younger players, but then you're bringing in aging players and putting them on long contracts. And it's sad, because Arsenal is a great club, and it's just lost its identity. But I do agree with Jens, and I think Arteta is a very, very good coach. I think he could benefit it would have been great for someone like Arsene if he could stay on in the background and have helped him, or someone senior, one of the senior players. I think he needs a little bit of that, because it's a massive job to take for effectively your first. It's his first job. It's an Arsenal Football Club. It's incredible that they put the faith in, and I'm pleased they have. But the recruitment needs to be more streamlined if they're ever going to get back. There's too much of we'll sign this one and now we get two of them, and it's unbalanced at the moment.
I think sometimes it helps as well when you have a winning history as well, because it's from yourself, it's a huge difference if you know how to win things, and when you're in a position where you haven't experienced that. So I see that right now in the clubs where I was involved, that if you win something, you actually know how to approach your daily routine. But when you don't, you have always this ups and downs because you're used to it. You don't know how it is to be consistent. That's a kind of personality as well. Sometimes you're lucky because none of us was always a leading guy to take the team to win things. Yeah, we've learned that by other players, and they've learned from other players. But when there's a group of people when nobody has ever won something, that's all of a sudden becomes difficult.
Talking about winning things, this weekend it's a massive game. It's up against Man City. Do you think the title race is done now, guys? Just as a last thing to get on with you, Jens, do you think that's it? I mean, and when you look at that City side, the guys in that City side who've won things, who are now passing that along to Foden and the people coming through, do you think that's it now, City have won the league?
Well, you always keep saying that, but how many games are there to play? 13 or 14?
Yeah, there's a lot of games, a lot of football.
So, all of a sudden, there's a little dip, and then another team keeps up. It looks, right now it looks like, but let them lose against Arsenal, then all of a sudden it's open again. Yeah, a little bit. So
you're saying Arsenal are going to beat City? That's
it's always a good possibility.
Yeah.
What's the price for that, big man? This is where you usually come in with the stats.
5-1 Arsenal to beat City.
I
mean, 8-15 is Man City with Coral. That's
keep your money in your pocket.
Yeah,
don't back Arsenal to beat Man City. Man City got too much.
Jens, I've got one big question for you before you go, because I know you're pushed for time. Who would you say, who is the best player you played with there at Arsenal? Who's your number one player?
It would be unfair to all the other great players to say this one was the best. Obviously, as a striker, Thierry was like the king of England at the time.
Yeah.
But there was Dennis Bergkamp as well, and we had fantastic midfielders, we had fantastic defenders. So it depends on which position. Yeah, I had the pleasure once to play with Paolo Maldini or George Weah. So you can imagine, or with some German World Cup winners. So you can imagine it would be unfair to name one, because there was a group of fantastic players.
Yeah, and just a quick one for me, because we've not touched on your career for the national team, and I've always struck me of just. Can you please tell us how to win World Cups and European Championships, please, so we can pass it on to the rest of the England?
It's our secret.
Please, you must have a secret.
First of all, I mean, we were surprised because it was the first penalty shootout you won. When was it? 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So that's a good. That's
so was we.
Step.
We were stunned. We still can't believe it.
I'm still hungover from it, Jens.
I was in a pub in London, and it was a fantastic night there. When they won it on penalties, people couldn't believe.
I can vouch for that. But that must have been good fun, being a German in an English pub when England national team are playing.
I have a lot of English friends, so it's always enjoyable.
That'd be good fun.
And you nicked our song as well, didn't you?
It's coming home.
It's coming home.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. We like it. Borussia Dortmund, they're singing "You Never Walk Alone," I think.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, they do. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. At least we understand English, which is opposite. The other way doesn't work.
Oh yeah.
A couple of Steiners of beer, big man, we'll be all right.
The best way to learn is coming to the Oktoberfest in Munich.
I've done the beer festival in Munich. It's incredible.
You see.
Can we do an autoplay for Oktoberfest, please, guys?
Yeah,
speak to the people. We go out.
I had an English friend over from Arsenal, last year, not the 2 years before. And I had to drag him out of a tent, literally drag him on the floor, because he completely overestimated his drinking abilities.
It's full on. I went last year. It was I went last year.
The year before last year.
Year before last year. Yeah, last year wasn't going. Yeah. I count out last year that didn't happen. But 2019. It's a hell of a thing. It's a hell of a time. It's an amazing event. I'd say for everyone to go at least once.
Should be on your bucket list.
Yeah.
I'm doing it, mate. We're
I'll
doing
take
it.
Coley.
We'll
do it together. We'll go and meet Jens.
Yeah.
Get on the shag.
Yeah. Let me know.
But yeah, well, Jens, thank you so much for stopping by. I know that you, like I say, you push for time. So thank you very much, my friend. It's been a joy chatting to you.
Thank you, Jens. Thank you very much, mate.
It was a pleasure to talk to you. Hope to see you at the beer fest.
Yes, let's do the beer fest for a stein of beer.
Line them up. Line them up.
I've been with my wife now 45 years. We're childhood sweethearts. We've been together since we were 16 and 15.
Oh, come on, Joe. You're starting to make me cry now. What's up with you? Jeez,
Well, that's the intention, Alan, to make you all cry.
Check out the full video now to find out why Joe is Alan's next winner.
That was Jens Lehmann. I mean, Joe, so great guy, obviously, incredible, and sort of calls himself Mad Jens. But like, it's a lot more reserved than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, he has got a reputation. You know, I know playing with German characters, they're a certain type of character. Like they're great lads. And they switch into business mode very easily when it comes to football. And he was a competitor. I think he was, like I said, he enjoyed the vocal and the banter with the refs, and he enjoyed all that about English football and the tackles. He was made for English. He has there is some stories about him.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, because I remember when he came over here, and I remember sort of like following European football, and sort of he was relatively infamous as this sort of like Mad Jens, and sort of it felt quite from sort of almost steady David Seaman to all of a sudden be getting this, like I think it was at Wigan when he was time wasting, he was throwing the ball against the other. I don't know if you remember watching that. That's something people can watch. It was insane watching it and those things. But for me, I guess it's that thing of I've never really, just speaking to him then, I was like, wow, this is sort of the level of that must change to get into the game. Like to go from being quite this reserved, quite almost sort of like very focused. You see the focus in him there when we're chatting to him, even just having this conversation. Yeah. And then to go to there and to go to that other sort of side of you, which is almost sort of like, sort of bearing on sort of not insanity, but sort of that little bit more sort of, how did you play with anyone else like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, goalkeepers are a different breed. They'll tell you 100%, because when you're trying to get him into chatting about his relationship with Oliver Kahn, I think that's what he was alluding to when he played. They didn't speak. Like that's like me and you every day coming into work and just like growling at each other. Like, and just like you making a mistake and be like, like that level of, I can't imagine how hard that would be to go into work to do that every day.
Yeah, but also I've got to say, even just chatting to them, I didn't even want to mention Oliver Kahn.
No, my bottle went as well. And he's in another country. My bottle went.
I was like, honestly, Joe, I was like, Joe mentioned Oliver Kahn, but in my head, I'm like, I'm not saying a thing about Oliver Kahn here. I'm terrified of the man. And he, like you say, but I mean, like he's just had this stern way about it.
Just terminate. If you're scared of him, big man, imagine me like. What's going on?
It's a weird thing of like, I sort of know a number of footballers who sort of played at the top level yourself, and like I never question the fact that like when you look at them, you chat to them, and you go, wow, when they go out there, and even like some of the French lads where you sort of chat to them over the years, and you think like. Yeah, well, obviously he was an incredible player because he has this persona. But just talking to Jens there, I'm like genuinely at times I was like, it's like talking to a politician. He's so sort of like focused on that and sort of like this is, I mean, maybe that's what you need is that extreme focus to be a goalkeeper.
I think he's definitely. But David James was like that. Petr Cech was like it. To be fair, like they had that laser-like focus where every part, like, because it's all about them, and it's not all about. He said you need a good defense.
Do you have to have that about you, though, to be a goalkeeper? Do you have
I
to
think so. It needs to be about details. I remember, like, Petr Cech and his little team, they used to work so diligently on all aspects of the game. You know, I was looking at it thinking, like, he'd do eye coordination work, and then he'd do upper body work, leg work, goalkeeping practice, then a bit of fitness, then they'd go and do computer work. So I think goalkeepers do that. They put compartmentalize, but just it would have been great to get his views on that relationship, because, like, he told me he enjoyed coming to Arsenal because he had Stacky and Stuart Campbell with him too. But no, both really, really good fun characters. I can imagine, like, the pressure of being with Oliver Kahn and fighting for that place for the national team and not speaking, and then coming with Stewie and Stacky, who are just like two great lads. And he must have loved it at Arsenal.
Was he scary on the pitch? Was he like?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was like not scary, but he was vocal. He's everything Arsenal need now in a professional football player. They need 3 or 4 Jens Lehmann-like characters who demand off each other, but who also stand up.
Yeah, man.
You know, and that he's a good character. I put him in that bracket where you love them lads when they're on your team.
Yeah,
because they're winners and they're fighters. But playing against him, he was a nuisance. He was vogue. He was a man. He was a man. And I think that's what the Arsenal team, they need more characters like him now.
But even talking to him, you know, when you sort of feel that someone, and I don't know whether you know, but you know, he'd be like an amazing manager. Like if Jens Lehmann told me to do anything, I'd do it.
Yeah,
you know, genuinely, just talking to him then, like he just garnered respect, didn't he? When he had a go at me about stuttering. I was like, oh, geez, I better sort of like yeah.
You should have put your BAFTAs in the back. Don't leave it at Big Jens. Leave the talking to me.
Predictions, Joe.
Yeah.
Sweet predictions.
Love this.
Last week,
go on.
2-0 to the big man. Beat you 2-0.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm having one.
I had Leicester to beat Liverpool, Man City to beat Spurs. You didn't get one right. Arsenal, Leeds. But we both went for Leeds to beat Arsenal. Lucky we didn't say that to Jens, because, yeah. What we have done. Right, so this week, okay. You need to bring this back. By the way, what's happened actually now is me and you I win a week, you win a week.
Yeah.
No one's run, I don't think, as far as I can remember,
That's
two consecutive
exciting
weeks.
Premier League.
Yeah. Oh, mate, this is a title race that everyone really wants to see. Do you know what I mean?
This is what it's all about.
Yeah, we're pinging head to head.
Are Coral taking bets on us?
Yeah.
Maybe they should.
Let me just say, by the way, that Coral have done the joke. Have you seen this? They've done a joke hole special.
No, what is it?
For the quadruple for Man City. You turned
around. Really?
You turned around last week on the podcast and said, I think it should be 20-1. Right?
Yeah.
Weirdly as well, let me just say, I was the one who turned around and said, oh, yeah, Coral, what are the bets for Coral? But they called it the joke hole special so that we can see who's the money on this show. Right? They've got, but 20-1, the joke hole special. I've actually had it.
I'm going to have it. I'm going to have it.
You've got it now. It's a joke hole special.
Of course. Got to, you know what I mean? Stand by my words there. I can't see him getting beat. I really can't.
No. I think, yeah, they just must. I mean, last night they looked phenomenal.
Mustard, didn't they?
Yeah. So here we go. Predictions. Okay, first up, Wolves versus Leeds.
Wolves.
Well, I'm gonna go Leeds here. Okay. An actual good bet here, and this is one of my favourite bets to have. The Coral odds over 3.5 goals is 11-5. Leeds. Anytime Leeds plays, there's going to be goals. That was a bet. I wish I'd had it. I thought over the season, I think most of Leeds' games are going to be over 2.5 goals. Like just what have been the odds on that? Okay, massive game, absolute humongous game. The Merseyside derby, Liverpool versus Everton. What are you going to go? Draw. Wow. Yeah. I'm going to go out there. This is where I'm really a bit risky here.
Did you see how bad Everton was without Calvert-Lewin against Fulham?
Yeah, that's true.
They was all over the place. It was.
All right, I'm going to go. You changed my mind.
Yeah.
I was going Liverpool. I'm going to go Liverpool. Nice little bet here. Curtis Jones, first goal scorer, 12-1.
Good. He's a lovely striker of the ball.
Yeah, he's coming through, isn't he?
Good player.
He's
really
very good player. Finally, Aston Villa versus Leicester.
You've got to go Leicester there. Brendan's done a great job, and he's, will they be sensing that they're going to be the ones to mount a challenge? Fofana at the back.
Yeah,
I don't know
incredible.
if we've talked about him. I love this kid.
Yeah.
I think he's one to look out for. Fofana and Ndidi, if they're playing, both of them.
And also Maddison amongst the goals now, right? Yeah,
Maddison's a great player. Everyone knows how much I love Maddison. But I think don't underestimate bringing in Fofana at the back there. Keep an eye on him for the listeners. He's really talented.
Fofana feels for me like a bullseye prize. Look what you could have won, because he was very close to signing for West Ham.
Really,
very close. Yeah.
They're horrible, they are. Did I tell you? I told you last week, Didier Drogba, West Ham wanted him.
Yeah.
Mate, we could have got him for 1.7.
Yeah. There's a list as long as my arm for people that could have done that.
Yeah, I know.
It's insane. Right, Joe, it's been an absolute treat chatting to you as well. And I'm going to go and change my underpants after talking to Jens.
Me too. He's a proper goalkeeping legend of the Premier League.
Legend of the Premier League, a legend of football.
Yeah.
And what a hell of a guy. So let's toast a stein of beer tonight for Mr. Jens Lehmann.
So let's do it, big man.
You've been listening to All to Play For, brought to you by Coral and Joe. I've been Big Tom D. He's been Joe Cole. See you next time.
You've been watching All to Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral.